It's really amazing. Even a lot of Chinese do not know that the gods include hell. You know, they also put it at the wrong part of the spectrum, right? You think, oh, if this is the gods, then hell must be the other end. No, hell is also up here. There are gods in hell. If you're Buddhist, you will know that there's a Buddha in hell.
I really don't feel good. It's like getting a...
Is anyone here? What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.
Yeah, hell is a whole other parallel universe to Earth. You know, so it's very fascinating. So my book was about that whole larger understanding, which unfortunately then means that the target audience is narrower. You know, it's not something you just casually flip. I divided the book into two parts. The front part is the logic, the understanding, you know, the discussion. The second part is a collection of first-hand accounts that somehow make those discussions make sense, you know. And what a lot of people said was that nothing beats hearing a plain news-like account. No exaggeration, no obsessing about long nails and fangs, and none of that. Just describe it the way it happened, and it's chilling. I see the world in a very, very sort of fractured way. I think that belief matters most. You know, what enough people believe, you can take as real. Because for those people, it is. Questioning it is pointless. Doubting it is also useless. If you don't believe, then it's not your problem. If you do believe, how do you deal with it? How do you live with it? Right? How do you be harmonious with it? And every older person I speak to, regardless of what culture, what religion they come from, they have that same understanding. How do I live with these things? And the things I live with may not be the same things you live with. What I'm afraid of, what I must protect my children from, are different from what you have to deal with. You know? So to me, that's social. Right? It's about community, it's about tradition, it's about history. So as my work also started to move into history and culture, I started realizing that the supernatural is actually a major part of how we as human beings create society. I cannot tell you about my rules, my agendas without sharing my fears, my beliefs, my ghost stories. The word superstition, because you know, it's a convenient word, right? But the English concept of superstition, the word super, means that it is sort of on top of, extra. For Asians, it's underneath. To me, superstition is not the best word. Ours is something underlying, more important than what you think of on top. To me, superstition is like bad luck, that kind of thing. No. To us, it's as simple as feng shui. Just don't. You know, if you are wise, don't. You talk to people who are raised in Taoist families. Do they really believe? No. But would they stop doing? No way. No way, right? So to me, that's not superstition. That's a deep-seated sort of a connection, you know, and that's what keeps us Asian, you see. I think that's important, you know. So I'm very passionate about any project or anything that I see that has that deep connection to Asian belief. An essential part of this whole concept is humility. Only the arrogant will think, I don't believe, therefore the world changes. Your belief changes nothing, your disbelief changes nothing, right? If Chip Pon is sitting in the tree, whether you believe her or not, she is still sitting in a tree, sorry. This is not Tinkerbell, you know? Those are Western concepts where it's all in your mind. It's not in your mind, it's in the tree, okay? But what you do with your mind can protect you or harm you. Because you respect or you disrespect. You know or you don't know. Knowledge, respect are two very key words. But these two only exist if you first have humility. Right? If you are not humble about these things, you will be ignorant and you will be arrogant. And you will kena.
That's usually the story, right? The arrogant always kena.
Correct. That's what all ghost stories are for, is to teach you which behavior survives, which behavior doesn't. Correct? Yes. If you know, you will make it to the end of the film. Yes. There's many theories why Pontianak is so sort of popular. You know, of course, partly because she's the only one with a city named after her. That helps, you know. If there's a city called Langsua, then, you know, she would be more popular. Unfortunately, there isn't, right? But my personal belief about her, all right, about Chip Pon, is that and this is linked to my belief about much of the Malay supernatural, right? Their way of seeing the world, that for a tribal community, which is where all of these old stories came from, the people who first had to deal with Jipon were small groups of people in the jungle. It's easy to imagine why she would be frightening. A thing that flies, a thing that lives at night, a thing that has violent tendencies, right? There's tiger, and then there's her. She's the apex predator, right? But the reason why she gets that position, right, why they are so afraid of her is because in any sort of tribal community, what is the worst tragedy that can happen to you? The death of a child. And worse, the death of a mother. Because your community is that small, right? Child rearing is survival, long term. The greatest threat, disease, all that, sure, but the worst thing is for a newborn child to die, right? A stillborn child is a terrible tragedy. So you can imagine that out of this kind of very fundamental fear comes this spirit, and she is a spirit of grief, of loss, and so if you want to approach it from a psychological point of view, that's why she is the greatest, because she embodies our greatest fear. And of course, in those days, medically, if you lose a child, you're very likely to lose the mother, because the complications are not easy to stop, right? So putting yourself in a social context, you understand why ghost stories form.
What is the ingredient of horror?
Wow. I think there are several things. One of them must be not so much the unknown, but the uncontrollable, right? What you don't know, you can learn. But there's only so much you can control something which, even if you understand it, acts on its own agenda. That is the thing where as a human being you go, oh shit, I cannot negotiate with the tiger, and I cannot negotiate with this Hantu. So then fear begins, right? The unexpected, the unknown, So someone like Jipon, someone like Hantu Penanggal and all that, we try to ward them off because we try to understand their logic. They like to do this, they like to do that. That's why when you hear a lot of these stories, straight away, the second sentence will be how to protect yourself, how to ward off. There is no way to mitigate the fear. Just because I have a nail in my hand does nothing to prevent you from fear. When you tell the story, it's a different level. If you are living in that village and night is coming, no nail is going to make you feel good. Fear comes from knowing that the darkness is unknowable. That sound is, I don't know where it's from. And when she comes, I don't know what she wants. I don't know what she will do. All those question marks is fear. And your knowledge is just one tiny little candle flame and the wind is blowing and that's it. To me, that is horror. When I was a teenager, I was living in in Bedok North, right? Bedok North. And across the junction from us, right? Just a block across, the point block, right? There were many rumors that there was an old man there who kept a Pontianak as a wife, right? And then sometime when I was there, he passed away. And we heard that there was a whole family drama because no one wanted to take over the responsibility of this wife, who was part of the family, right? And so apparently, this is what I heard, they basically abandoned the house and left it to her. So she lived alone, single lady, shopping at the Econ Mini Mart, all that, as a Pontianak. So she might still be there. She must be there. She just had no husband.
Single lady, no husband, lonely for all her life, with a house to her name.
With a house to her name, yeah, good prospect.
I might give it a shot.
It's a wonderful fantasy that you can tame the spirit. They do talk about that for the Lang Suya as well. Yeah. And then the main thing is you cannot let them go dancing, because when they go dancing, they will shake, and then the thing will fly out. I'm like, okay, there's many. No, for the Lang Suya, it's not the nail, it's the hair.
They put the hair inside the hole.
And
right?
Apparently you must cut her fingernails and stuff it inside also. So I'm wondering whether then from one nail, it became misread into another nail. Fingernail to iron nail. The iron makes sense because in a lot of Bomo rituals, iron, because the semangat is strong, right? So it has power. So to think that that would be the right element to subdue her, doesn't, it's not illogical. Yeah. So if it passed on that way, people would just go, yeah, makes sense. you know. But what's interesting is I discovered a divergence between the Langsuya and the Pontianak, right? Which a lot of people don't know about because it's only recorded in some very old studies, right? Ethnographic studies, but they're not sisters in that sense, or they're not the same thing, right? I don't know if you've come across this before, but in a double tragedy, if a mother and a child both die, the mother is the Langsuya, the child is the Pontianak, or in the older name was Matianak, dead child, right? The anak is the klula, right? So the Langsuya is actually the mother. And from what I can glean, they don't recognize each other. It's not a mother-child haunting together, no. That is a very Western concept, very sentimental, right? For the Malay, when you become Hantu, you're not a ghost. You do not remember, you are not hanging around for unfinished business. No, that's a Western thing. When you become Hantu, you transform, right? You are this shape-shifting bird thing, you know, you are more like a yokai in the Japanese tradition than a yurei, which is a ghost with human longings, right? You become a creature, and that's different. So I find a good parallel with the banshee, you know, right? The Irish idea of the banshee, because the banshee must have had a personal story, but she is no longer about who she was and what happened to her. She is now a representative of death. Similarly, the Pontianak and the Langsuya become embodiments of something, no name, no history. That is the unknown. No amount of feeling will tame her. So I do not like stories of Pontianak where you can melt her heart. Sorry, that's wishful thinking. You can tell that to children, but that will get them killed one day. When they
So you are doing something on an island that is reputed to be haunted. In fact, the old name is Pulau Belakang Mati.
Yes.
For those of you who don't understand what that means, literally means the island behind death. Pulau
Belakang Mati. I've heard death comes from behind.
Death comes behind.
Which is much nicer.
So you are planning something for Halloween. Can you tell us about that?
Okay, it's a project that we call Kursed with a K, right? And it's a sort of hybrid thing, right? For those who enjoy the Halloween Horror Nights experience or haunted house tour experience, there's a lot of that, right? You come, we will take you into a place and you will be scared, okay? But we are going to move away from the sort of theme park way of presenting it, which is crowds, noise, and all that. We are going for the true fear experience, which means isolation, darkness. So you will be moving in small groups in a completely jungle type area with very little light. We may or may not give you a torchlight, let's see, you know, right? And you are completely vulnerable. So even before anything happens, you are already soaking up the fear, right? That's very, to me, important. Immersive, 100% immersive, right? And we've been telling people, if you see anything, I cannot guarantee it's us. We encountered things even when we went to recce, right? But I'm the kind who doesn't, you know. I'm very safe, you know. But one of the artists was with me. Was, in fact, before he went, he already prepared his own combination of salt with prayers, or, you know, and we were happily talking, planning, and then we went down one particular path, and straight away he kept quiet, and he sort of walked ahead of us, and he just started scattering the salt. So far, nothing explicit has happened yet, you know, but we know that we have company. But then it's not the first time, you know. Years ago, I did a show which is also of a Jipon theme, and this was at Sembawang Park, another very notorious place, you know. And we went in, it was all very young, university students, all very young, so, you know, don't know all these stories, you know. They were like, whatever, you know, very exciting, theatre, let's do. But as the production went on, you could see that their attitude to these things shifted, because the atmosphere changed, right? They could feel it, and then some of them could feel more than others. There was one actress playing the jipon, right? So poor girl had to spend most of the night alone. The rest get to hang out together because they're all villagers. She's always alone, and she always has to like crawl and hide and then come out. You know, she was, poor girl, right? And nothing happened to her for the whole run until the very last night. Before her final appearance, she was hiding behind a bush in her white with her hair, and she was waiting to appear. and she heard just beside her a very soft and that's it. And she knew at once. It was just saying, I know. I've been watching.
What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.